Good morning. Once again, I am George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with Weather Now Kentucky. We got an update for you regarding some changes that we made to the forecast, as well as we're going to go over obviously the current radar that we're seeing, as well as model data, and so on and so forth. So some different things going on in this broadcast here. So of course, with the new information, I ask you passionately to share the broadcast on your news feed by hitting the share button at the bottom portion of your screen. Get this information out on your news feed so that your friends and family can get caught up on what's new. Also helps us to spread our information out. So we appreciate you helping us, helping others in your community by hitting the share button and liking the broadcast. Thank you guys very much for that. We appreciate you. Katie, Tina, Kim, Haley, Cassie, Amy, everyone's already on the shares. You guys are doing great. Appreciate that. And thank you very much as well. Say hello as you come in. Of course, we're going to give it about a minute and a half before we dive into the information. You guys know sometimes notifications go out faster or slower depending upon internet connection, so we want to give everyone the proper amount of time to get in here and that wants the information. You see me more of in the hoodie right now. I just actually got done measuring the snow outside here in Ratcliffe. We have eclipsed the 5-inch mark here in Ratcliffe, so we already have 5 inches of snow and sleet, but mainly snow on the ground right now in Ratcliffe, Kentucky, and so many others. So make sure you share with me what you're seeing right now as well while we're waiting for folks to get in here. We're already almost halfway to the share go. I think once we get to about 100 shares, we'll probably start the broadcast. I've been doing this long enough. I know kind of when the numbers say, hey, let's get things rolling. So help me out with that. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the likes and shares once again. I appreciate all the hearts and some of the angry faces. I know a lot of you aren't big fans of the winter, so I understand the angry faces over on YouTube. Welcome in over there as well. Hamilton, Noodlehead, Jennifer, Phillip on YouTube. Hello. Yvonne, Amy, Sadie, Taylor. The chat's going so unbelievably fast. Dakota, Amanda, Sherry, Kayla, Tasha, everyone, thank you guys for tuning on in. We appreciate you. Ashley, Rebecca, Aaron, Josh, Ursula, so many more. Thank you guys for sharing the broadcast and getting our information spread out. We appreciate you. Again, if you are just now rolling in here, I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with Weather Now Kentucky. And we do have an update as we have made a couple of forecast changes. We've been up since 4:30 a.m. this morning, Eastern time, and each and every 45 minutes we are analyzing new data. We are doing new calculus equations. We are analyzing new mesoanalysis. We are doing everything we can to stay on top of such a complex system and to give you guys all of the new information as quickly and as urgently as possible. And we mentioned throughout our last broadcast yesterday, our broadcast the day before that, our broadcast all week long, we have mentioned there will be last minute changes, and here we are doing that. Again, when you're dealing with 4 different precipitation types, you're dealing with Gulf warmth and Gulf moisture that moves into polar cold air, right? You're talking about some last minute wiggles that maybe the models didn't see, right? So that's what we're looking at now. I want to go over that information with you. I want to thank you once again, everyone tuning in here. You have not missed a thing just yet. Let's go ahead and roll into the information, and then I'll get to some questions here at the end. So here's your current radar that you're seeing on the broadcast right now. I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to precipitation type so you can see it for yourself. Now this red and black here, what you're seeing on your screen, this is the radar picking up on a mix. So everything is technically mixing. Even if you see or you think you're seeing a pure snow, almost everything that we're seeing across the entire state of Kentucky has some sort of sleet mix in it, whether it's 10% or 5%. It can even be a very small number. So the radar is going to pick up on that and try to throw a mix in there. We can tell you, though, that by looking at the correlation coefficient on our weather-wise radar here, we can see where the sleet is actually occurring. And that sleet is occurring down toward the Bowling Green area, Madisonville area. Actually, you're more over to our freezing rain now. Jamestown, Columbia area, maybe going to Litchfield, some sleet occurring there as well. Mainly, everyone is about at least 80% snow right now. If you are seeing a frozen precip and you're north of the parkways, you're probably seeing about an 80% snow share. 20% either being freezing rain accompanied with that or sleet being accompanied with that. I know that places down in Bowling Green, as well as Paducah, you are mainly seeing a freezing rain at this point. So Hopkinsville, Bowling Green, Princeton, going again toward Paducah, north of Mayfield. The cold air has been fighting its you-know-what off. Gulf warm, the warm air that's associated with all this precipitation that we're seeing, that is very strong stuff. It's very stubborn. It's very aggressive. It's like a toddler when you give them too much Mountain Dew. All right, and it goes. But I gotta say, the cold air has been fighting its you-know-what off today. And that's going to help us try to avoid as much freezing rain as possible. All right. And then we do still think that even though we're seeing a lot of snow, even though we are running a little bit colder than models did indicate, we do still believe that we will see a warm nose at some point, and we will switch over to a freezing rain, a frozen solution at some point. Again, we do have new forecasts to show you. We'll get into those here in just a moment. Let's go ahead and look at the temperatures right now. Temperatures across the region still under freezing for most folks, even down here in southwestern Kentucky, where the warm nose is currently trying to push up at. You're only running at about 34 to 33, 35 degrees. Places like our friends in Bowling Green, you're at 31 degrees right now. In Hardin County, in the southern portion of the county, you're at 25 degrees. In the northern portion of the county, toward Radcliffe and West Point, you're at about 23 degrees. All right. Places like Meade County, you're at 24 degrees. Up here in the northern portion of the state, where we expect the most snowfall to occur today, they're still in the low 20s, and temperatures are actually dropping up there. Quite the scenario on hand. Almost no one in the state is above freezing except for these bottom 4 counties over here. And as you can tell, we've left them out of most forecast maps, aside from some slight accumulations of some things. So those are your current temperatures. We do expect those to rise throughout the day. Some places, especially along the southern Kentucky portion of the area toward the Tennessee border, you will actually go well up into the 30s, maybe even approaching 40s. Up here toward the north of the parkways, let's say like E-Town, let's say like Grayson County, let's say like Breckenridge County, Ohio County, so on and so forth, and then everyone north of that point, you will warm up too, but you might only warm up to 32 or 33 degrees, and that 1 degree makes all the difference in the world. There is a reason the freezing point is 32. As soon as you hit 32, it freezes. All right, it doesn't mean 32.5 or 32.9 or whatever. It's 32.0. That 1 degree can make all of the difference in the world. And as soon as you hit it, it's a frozen precip, not a warm precip. All right, let's look at the model data now. This is brand new data that's coming in right now as we speak. As you can see in the top left portion of your screen there, if I scroll up, you can see that we have some empty boxes right here. This means this model is coming in right now as we speak. This is brand new data. You can see it does show a full-on snowstorm pretty much for a lot of Kentucky at this point. It is accurate. It does show that throughout the afternoon, over the next hour to 2 to 3 hours, that warm line above our head, the temperature at the ground should stay below freezing all the way until 10 to 11 p.m. tonight, okay? It's unless you're on the Kentucky-Tennessee border, then you will go up faster, all right? But for the general majority of Kentucky, you should stay below freezing for a while. All right, it's the temperature that's about 5,000 feet above our heads. That's the one in question, the one that we can't see with our eyes. All right, we're talking about 5,000 feet up above our heads. That is the temperature in question. What that temperature does, it controls our precipitation type. Okay, everything starts out as a snowflake several thousand feet up. And then if even one layer in the atmosphere becomes above freezing, that snowflake will melt into a raindrop or a sleet pellet. If it's if it's above freezing long enough, it will go all the way to a raindrop. But if you are below freezing at the surface, let's say right now we're 24 degrees, right? If you're below freezing at that surface, when that raindrop hits the ground, it will immediately freeze upon contact. That is freezing rain. So even if you look outside and you're seeing plain rain, everyone in the state right now, except for those bottom 4 western counties that we talked about, is below freezing. It's not regular rain. It will not be regular rain. All right, that we do have a chance of regular rain later on tonight, but you have to remember, at that point, we've been below freezing. We've seen several inches of snow. We've seen a couple of inches of sleet. We've seen all these things on the ground that are already frozen. When that regular rain does fall, does it actually do a whole lot of work for us, or does it eventually hurt us in the long run? I think the answer is the latter there. I think it hurts us in the long run because we do drop below freezing once again on Monday. And by the way, on Monday, we have a chance for backside snow to occur. So let's look at this model real quickly. I'm going to zoom it into the local view, and we're just going to go through this real quickly here. So the time for changeover, again, if you're in southeastern Kentucky, southwestern Kentucky, I should say, Bowling Green and Paducah, you should already be freezing rain or sleet. If you're in central Kentucky, let's say around E-Town to Nelson County to LaRue County to Grayson County to Breckenridge to Meade, so on and so forth, in the heart of Kentucky, if you will, your changeover time for this model is in about 90 minutes to 2 hours, all right? So that's about the 1 to 2 p.m. time frame, Eastern time, all right? That's when you should start to transition to more sleet, less snow, and then at about the 3 to 4, maybe even 5 p.m. time frame, that's when you should transition from sleet to freezing rain. So again, we're going to go back and forth. We're going to waffle quite a bit. The longer we can hold on to the snow and the sleet, the less freezing rain that we're talking about, which would be great. It would be phenomenal. We can plow sleet and snow. Sleet's a little harder to plow, but you can still plow it. You can melt sleet and snow. Freezing rain that drops as a raindrop and freezes upon contact and creates a thin layer of ice. You cannot plow that. You cannot plow that, and we don't have blowers on our trucks here like they do up in the north. All right, so it becomes a very tricky situation at that point. Advance this on forward. By the way, we do have new forecasts for you. You have not missed those yet. For those of you that are just now tuning in, we have not shown those yet. I will show you the new forecast here in just 1 second. Again, by about 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time, it does show a good chunk of Kentucky, along and south of I-64. It shows you as a sleet and freezing rain at this point. Going to the 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time, again, this is incredibly heavy sleet. So again, this might be one of those periods right here between 5 to 6 p.m. Since it's coming down so hard, it might actually waffle back and forth between sleet and snow. Okay, dynamic cooling will occur. What is dynamic cooling? It's the rapid cooling of the atmosphere, or the column of the atmosphere, whenever rain or precipitation is coming down so hard. It will bring down cold air from those far, forget 5,000 feet. We're talking about 7,000, 9,000, 10,000 feet up. It'll pull the cold air down from that, and it'll try to cool down that 5,000 feet layer that we're talking about. Again, so we might see some waffling back and forth late this afternoon between different precipitation types. All right, advance this on forward to 7 p.m. Eastern time. You can see around rush hour on the way home on Sunday or tonight. Hopefully, no one's on the roads at this point. We've already learned a lesson. There's several wrecks throughout Louisville and other portions of the state. Several wrecks. So, again, I urge you, as I have been, to stay home. All right. Pushing this forward to 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time, you can see that warm air is now moved all the way up to Elizabethtown and does show a regular rain. The problem with this, as we're going to look at this and we're going to go, oh, this is not too bad. But when I click on this sounding here, look at the temperature. This red line right here is your temperature, okay? The reason it shows sleet is because, again, about 5,000 feet up, technically called the 850 millibar. Right here, you see this, where how it kind of bows out like that. That is above freezing. Here's your freezing line, this thin blue dashed line right here. That's your freezing line. So here's the upper layers of the atmosphere. Everything starts as a snowflake, right? Starts as a snowflake. When it gets close together, let's say about the 500 millibar right here. You see 500 on the left side. Starts as a snowflake there. Snowflake, snowflake, snowflake. Oh, I melted into a raindrop, 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 raindrop. And then at the ground, the model's going to show us rain because technically we are like 0.2 of a degree above 32 degrees. So the model at that point, because it's not a human, it's only a model, it can't depict some context. It's going to try and show regular rain. But at this point, we're quite literally at 32.2 degrees. So if we're 0.2 degrees colder than what this model is showing, this would be freezing rain, not regular rain. So that's why the headache has been, that's why I've taken 4 Excedrin today, 4 cups of coffee, and a lot of water, because it can quite literally come down to 0.2 degrees. I mean, genuinely. So if you have a favorite forecaster, even if it's not me, okay, and they're wrong a little bit today, take it easy on them. The margin is 0.2 degrees. All right, it truly is. For some places in Kentucky, the margin is less than half a degree. So pushing this on forward here to late night hours here in Kentucky now shows that break in the action that we talked about. Remember, we know there's going to be a break tonight. All right. And then eventually that low pressure now starts to scoot east. And as it does, it might bring in some freezing drizzle. It shows it in southern Indiana. But if this low pressure is a little bit more to the south, like let's say around Somerset, rather than being here, then now that freezing drizzle comes into northern and central Kentucky. And the problem with freezing drizzle is it's so light that it will actually not be able to pass through trees or power lines that it falls on. So if you are going to get freezing rain, what you want is an absolute just pour. You want to just pour, because the more it pours, the heavier those raindrops are. The more weight they have to them, and they can just pass down on past the power lines. They can get off the power lines and get onto the road. When you have a freezing drizzle, like a little mist, if you will, it just kind of just sticks to the power line. It's like very sticky. And then eventually it builds up and builds up and builds up and gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And that's where we start seeing the low-hanging power lines. That's where we start seeing limbs begin to crack and break that may fall on those low-hanging power lines. So yes, we do still have an ice concern. Yes, we do still have a power outage concern. And of course, we have the traffic concern, or the travel. Pushing this on forward here, this model stops at this point. It can't see any further than 18 hours out, but I will tell you that on the past runs, I'll go ahead and show you as well. Here's a longer range version of it. It does have some backside snow tomorrow morning, starting around 6 a.m. Eastern time or so. for basically the northern half of Kentucky, basically from the parkways. Sounds like a broken record at this point. But from the parkways to the points north, does have some more freezing drizzle tomorrow. Does have some more light snowfall, and then eventually by the late morning hours, might be a more moderate snowfall before it finally exits the entire state by about 5 p.m. on Monday. Sam, thank you for that, by the way. I just saw that. But yeah, a very, very complex setup. Here is the latest from this model. I do want to show you this. Again, this is not our forecast. I do have those graphics to show you. Just hang on one minute with me, please. I want to show you this. So keep in mind that we already have about, for example, here in Ratcliffe, we already have about 4 to 5.5 inches on the ground. Okay? Depending upon where you are at, you know, let's say you're in, I don't know, Nelson or LaRue County, you got like 3 or 4 inches on the ground, right? Something like that. This will be additional snowfall on top of that. Snowfall and sleet. Again, it's a combination of the two. All right? Here's what it shows. It does show an additional, perhaps 3 to 4 inches for Hardin County. It does show an additional, let's say 6 to 8 inches for the Louisville area, Lexington to points north. Now, again, this is the model. This is not our forecast, okay? I just want to show you this, kind of show you what the potential might be. That's for snow. I'm not going to stick too long on that because, again, it's not our forecast. Here is the ice. So for those of you asking, is the ice still a threat? It absolutely is. There will be a period, no matter how much colder we're running the models are showing, there will be a period where we do go above freezing 5,000 feet above our heads. When that occurs, we hope it comes down as sleet. It can if we can recover cold enough fast enough. But we still believe there will be, even if it's small, a period of freezing rain by mid-afternoon, lasting until late tonight, especially for portions of central Kentucky between the parkways and the I-64 corridor, where it's showing still anywhere between 0.3 to 0.6 inches, okay? Let me pull up our forecast now for you. Starting with the ice forecast, we didn't really change the zones on this. We just changed the amounts. So we upped the amounts for southern Kentucky. Obviously, you have seen more ice this morning. We do expect, since you are going to approach 37, 38, maybe even 40 degrees tonight, for like places like Paducah, Hopkinsville, Bowling Green, Somerset, some of your ice will actually melt a little bit and be absorbed by the atmosphere. Okay, so whenever it's all said and done, this is what we expect to be on the ground. All right, a very thin layer just above that, 0.1 to 0.3 inches. Basically Grayson County, Madisonville, Danville, going over toward Jackson, Pikeville, and then the same thing for up there in Florence and just north, where we expect more of the snow to dominate, less ice will obviously occur. We do still expect anywhere between 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice from places like Ashland, Moorhead, Lexington, maybe it's just south of Cynthiana, southern Jefferson County, majority of Hardin County, Nelson County, Bullock County, LaRue County. And then going over toward Breckenridge, Meade, Daviess, over toward Henderson as well. So again, we do still expect ice to occur. So even though we've seen a lot of snow, and even though we're running colder than the model showed, we do still expect to see ice from this. And by the way, both of these graphs that I'm showing you right now, they will be posted on our page on Twitter and on Facebook after this broadcast is done. So if you miss anything, we always post a summary of the video. Here is the snow forecast that we have updated. All right, majority of this is already on the ground. Some more of this is happening over the next couple of hours, for the exception of Florence, Owenton, and Cynthiana up there in northern Kentucky. Obviously, you're going to last a little bit longer than everybody else because you are seeing the heavier snowfall. All right, and then some of this is also accounting for that backside snow tomorrow. All right, so you're not going to see all of this on the ground. And when that freezing rain hits, it's going to compact the snow. So if you were to go out there, I don't know, and measure the snow and sleet later on tonight, let's say around 7 or 8 p.m., and obviously you've had a couple of hours of freezing rain at that point, of course it's going to compact the snow. Like if you have a slushy, right, you just got to shave in all the ice. It's nice and fluffy in your cup. But when you go to actually pour the syrup in there to flavor your slushy, it compacts that slushy together. All right. Same thing with the freezing rain and snow. You still have all that snow on the ground, but now you've added more water content to that snow because of the freezing raindrop. That's compacting that snow and squishing it down together. So if you go out there at 8 p.m. tonight, let's say for example you're in Louisville, right? And let's say you're supposed to be 6 to 10 inches and you're only at 5 inches, right? Please don't message me and say, oh my God, you were so wrong, you're the worst. No, you still had the snow on the ground. Just when that rain started and that freezing rain started, it compacted it a little bit. All right, so that's why it makes this a little complex as well. Because it's like, do you put the real snowfall amounts out there? Do you put the snowfall amounts people are going to measure out there? It becomes a very complex thing. That's why I have no hairline left. Okay, for very far southern Kentucky, it's 0 to 1 inches. It's possible if you do see snowfall in very far southern Kentucky, where that light zone is, okay, it would be the backside tomorrow, if anything at all. Not really expecting too much. All right, Bowling Green to Madisonville to Somerset, to Harlan, Southern Pike, 1 to 3 inches possible there. Okay, 2 to 5 inches possible anywhere from Litchfield to Campbellsville, Danville, Jackson, Northern Pike, so on and so forth. All right, Owensboro to E-Town, and then a very thin strip right there, just to the south of Lexington, stretching over to eastern Kentucky. 4 to 7 inches possible there. This is a snow and sleet combination. All right, 6 to 10 inches expected in northern Breckenridge, all of Meade, northern Hardin, Jefferson, Bullitt, Franklin, so on and so forth, toward Lexington, Kentucky, Moorhead, and Ashland, Kentucky. 6 to 10 inches of snow and sleet combination expected there by Monday evening. Florence, Owenton, Cynthiana, points north like Maysville. You are expected to see the most snowfall at 8 to 12 inches, and in some places up there, I would not be surprised to see some people make a run at 13, 14, maybe even 15 inches of snow up there in northern Kentucky. So quite the contrast. You're going to have people in Mayfield and Murray tomorrow wondering what in the heck everyone's talking about when we're talking about the potential for double-digit snowfalls in the northern half of the state. So quite the complex, quite the differences depending upon where you are in the state, and so on and so forth. So, Carmen, we kind of declined it or decreased it a little bit. Now we're again, the ice map looks like this, and we'll have again all these posted on our page. 0.2 to 0.5 is the range now. Daryl, Destiny, thank you for your star donations. Jennifer, thank you so much. Sam with the 200 stars, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Betty with your star donation, thank you so much. I appreciate that as well. Andrea with the 100 stars. Casey, thank you. Yvonne, thank you. Amanda, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Amanda, again, thank you so much. Nikki, thank you. Chris, Ashley, Matt, Tanya, Jessica. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Thank you guys for all of your star donations. Roberta, Mary, everyone else. Betty, thank you guys again for all of your star donations on Facebook. On YouTube, Clara says, hearing it hit windows now at the E-Town bypass and Western Kentucky Parkway. You're likely to hear some sleet mix in with this. Again, well, it'll be a slow changeover. We're just going to rapidly see. You're not just going to instantly see. You're going to start slowly noticing more sleet mixing again, then all of a sudden it's going to be all sleet. Same thing with the freezing rain transition later on tonight. It's going to be mostly sleet, and then little by little you're going to see more raindrops. Melody, thank you for that update there. Amber says, when do you expect us to commute as normal? It depends on where you're at in the state. So, if you're in that red zone for the ice, or if you're in, let's say, this dark blue zone toward the purple zones in the snow. So, basically, from the parkways to the points north, it could be a couple days. Especially if you get, 4/10 or a half inch of ice on the ground. Now you're talking about the potential for 3 or 4 days. It can, depending upon where you're at, and depending upon how much ice comes down. If we can skip a lot of this ice, guys, we'll be okay, and we'll still be okay even with this. But if we can skip a lot of this ice, we'll be much better off. Yeah, Jennifer, they're doing great. The road crews are doing great, and they'll continue to do great if you guys stay off the roads. Okay, the more people get on the roads, the more people get in their way, the more that tires from other vehicles smash down stuff and compact things. It gets in the way, guys. So stay home, stay out of the way, just chill out for the day. Keep watching us. Keep watching your favorite shows. Let's look at some traffic cams now. Let's look at some traffic cams throughout the area. I like looking at these. Gives us an idea of what the traffic conditions may be. So a very popular one that everyone asks for. Western Kentucky Parkway just south of Elizabethtown. Here's the camera for that. Yeah. About as I expected. An absolute mess. You can actually see some frozen precip on the camera. If frozen precip is sticking on the camera, it's going to stick on your Honda Civic tires. All right? Do not go out. Look at the road. The road's completely empty, by the way. That's genuinely a round of applause for you guys. Kentucky people are usually very stubborn. I lived here all my life. I know this. I'm stubborn myself. But you guys have... we've checked these cameras several times throughout this morning. And now, of course. And each time has been very minimal traffic. And I just got to give you guys a round of applause for staying off the roads. The more you do that, again, the faster we can return to safe travel conditions. All All right, let's check the I-65 corridor in Elizabethtown at mile marker 93.3. Again, a mess. A mess. And you can tell plows are hitting it, but it's still just an absolute mess. Again, very minimal cars. I mean, we're talking about noon on a Sunday. I only see about 8 or 9 cars on the road there. Again, very, very good. You're always going to have some because people got to get, emergency workers, other essential workers, got to get to places to keep the world running. But again, very, very minimal. Let's check out the Louisville area up here toward Jeffersontown. Let's start there. This is going to be I-64 at mile marker 18. That is, yeah. Again, this is not fear-mongering. This is not hype. This is happening. This is real. This is real. Even if your interstates look like that, just imagine what the side roads are that the road crews can't get to because they're so busy caught up on the interstates and stuff, right? Very, very nasty stuff there. Very nasty stuff there. So let's go ahead and go to some other places here. Let's go down to Bowling Green. Let's see how we're looking down there in our friends down there in Warren County. So here is where less snow is occurring, more of the ice and sleet. The good news here, I see, at least from on this road, it might not be for the entire county, is if you look for little signs whenever you're looking at these pictures. Look at the left side where this black truck is. If you see on the left side of his wheel there, kind of looks like water is splashing, which means that this is not ice at this point. Are there slick spots? I'm sure. But at least on this road, it does look to mostly be a liquid form. All right, so that's good news there in central Warren County. Let's go down to the southern portions of Warren County and see how it's looking there. Again, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. This is where we expected less snow, less winter activity. So far, so good down there. Let's go to the northern side of Warren County because we do have a lot of people in here from Warren County, so I want to make sure I'm checking all of it. Again, looks pretty good. You can tell they had a lot of sleet. So look at how rough this is. This is the difference between sleet and freezing rain. Yes, they're both technically ice, right? But look how rough the sleet looks compared to ice. That picture we posted on Facebook this morning and Twitter this morning of Paducah, that was ice. That was pure freezing rain. Let's look over here at Hopkinsville real quickly. Again, we'll get to everywhere in the state. We're just kind of going in order here. It looks like it's just wet. Pretty good there. Not a whole lot going on, as forecasted. Let's look at Paducah once more, where there was an absolute mess this morning. Let's see if it's still frozen. Oh, my website might be frozen. Let's go to a different camera. Let's go to the I-69 corridor over here. This is where it was a mess this morning. We do still see some frozen stuff on the cameras, but looking at the roads, there's not as much of that glare. You know, if you're looking at these pictures, if you see like that glare on the roads where it looks like you're almost looking in a mirror, that's where you know the ice is. I don't really see that at this point, so that's good news down there. Let's go over to Somerset, and then we'll start going north. So Somerset, let's go ahead and take a look at you real quickly. Ooh, a mess. A mess. Looks like you're actually getting on some more snowfall than the radar was showing. It looks like you're in a break now. But yeah, you definitely had some more snowfall than even the radar indicated. Whoops. So messy road conditions down there in Somerset. Good to know. I actually would not have guessed that. The radar did not depict that. All right. This is going to be for Mountain Parkway near Slade. This is in Wolfe County. An absolute mess. An absolute mess. And it also looks like this vehicle, whoever this is starting to lose control at this point. You can see the car on the backside leaning. This absolutely looks like a mess. So, it doesn't even look like there's been a plow through here in a while. It looks like a solid 2 to 3 inches on the ground there in Wolfe County. Let's go ahead and go north here. Let's go through Mount Vernon, Kentucky. This is going to be Carlisle County. And again, the interstate just looks like an absolute mess. It just does. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And again, the bad part is with this, whenever we do melt all this with snow or with salt and brine on the ground, the problem is we drop below 25 degrees at some point on Monday. So whenever all this does melt, it's going to refreeze. It's going to flash freeze. All right? That's basically what this where I'm getting at here. Sorry, I'm just getting more comfortable. My body's getting tired. All right. Now, let's go up here to Nicholasville. Take a look over here. See how we're doing just south of Georgetown into Nicholasville. Same old story. An absolute mess. An absolute mess. But again, though, very minimal traffic on the roads. I'm very I'm very proud of our Kentucky family today. Very, very minimal traffic on the roads. A lot of people listening to those alerts that were given out by the National Weather Service, us, and other media outlets. Let's check out Lexington and Fayette County. Again, not too bad on the traffic. I only see one actual vehicle. The road itself is disgustingly snowy and slick. I mean, you could just tell. I mean, anytime you start seeing this brown start to mix in, that is it melting. But again, the problem is when we hit that flash freeze level Monday, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. All right. So Lexington, we know that's the case there. It's been snowing for a couple of hours at this point down there. Let's check out our capital in Frankfort on the I-64 corridor here. See how we're looking. Just off the I-64 corridor in between the exits. Again, it looks like an absolute mess. This is a main highway in our state's capital, and it's still just absolutely snow covered. Very, very messy there. Let's see here. Did we look at Nelson County yet? I don't think we did. Let's look at Nelson County real quickly in Bardstown, Kentucky. Not a road on the car. No, not a road on the car. My goodness. Not a car on the road. Sorry, guys. Not enough coffee. Time to reload. Time to reload. Not a car on the road. I can't be more proud of you guys, man. For real. Again, like, as humans, we are just so stubborn. Yeah, I'm hearing that, Bo. Thank you. All right. I do want to check up here. There was a wreck. I can't remember exactly where it was at. I think it was St. Matthews area along the I-264 corridor here in Jefferson County earlier. We actually saw it almost as soon as it happened. We actually clicked on the image 3 minutes after that wreck happened. It was pretty insane. I can't remember exactly where it was, though. But here we are in the biggest city, biggest county in our state. Absolutely snow-covered interstates. Only 3 vehicles on the road. Again, or 4 if you count this one. Again, very, 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 very phenomenal job by you guys to stay out of the way of emergency workers. The selflessness today has been very, very commendable. Seriously. I think it might have been over here. Again, not a vehicle on the road. Yeah, I can hear the sleet starting to hit my window. 64 at mile marker 21. Thing is, I can't really see the mile markers on here, so I'm going to have to guess. Is it over here? This is mile marker 15. So, okay, so what is this one? This is mile marker 21. See if the camera loads. 264 or 64? I thought it was somewhere right here. So it would be down. It would be down here. What? $64? I thought it was 64. Looks like the cameras up there are struggling a little bit. I bet you there's probably a lot of people trying to check to see. Okay, the wreck was not here because this is not the same spot. It was definitely 264. But you can see there are 3 vehicles stuck on the side of the road. You think it's 64? Well, here's 64 mile marker 21. This is not the same spot because this does not look like the same camera angle. But again, this might be we obviously there's so many wrecks happening up in Jefferson County. We might also be talking about 2 different situations here. So that might be some of the confusion at this point. But here is 64 at mile marker 21. 3 vehicles stranded on the side of the road here. Hopefully the occupants have been helped to shelter. But it does look like there are 3 vehicles on the side of the road there at I-64 mile marker 21. I want to try to check this 260. I feel like it was 264, the one that I'm talking about. No, that wasn't it either. I'll know when I see it. I just can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know. It was earlier this morning. So anyway, that's the Louisville area. We've spent enough time there. Let's go ahead and look up north here toward Gallatin County. Already beginning to get messy here. This is one of those places where we expect to see upwards of a foot of snow by tomorrow morning. Again, up there in northern portions of the state. So that's how the traffic cams look around the state there. once again, our temperatures are starting to climb pretty quickly here. When we started this broadcast, Hardin County was at 24.7 degrees. Now they're at 26.3 degrees. The reason for that is most of the snow in Hardin County has stopped. We have gone back to more of a sleet and snow. And as I say that, I look outside and it's just puking snowflakes out. So, good for that. But, again, here's our current radar. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this broadcast here. I'm going to take a little break before things start to switch over later on this afternoon. Again, here's our current radar showing a mix of all precipits, mainly snow if you're north of the parkways, a little toward Lexington, Frankfort, Louisville. Places like Mount Sterling, Richmond, and West Liberty should be mostly snow there. Places like Eatown, Hardinsburg, Litchfield, Beaver Dam, Horse Cave, Campbellsville. If you haven't already, you should begin your switch over to sleet here very soon. And that'll be a gradual switch between sleet and snow. Again, you'll go back and forth. And then down here towards southwestern portions of the state, we should begin to see more regular rain begin to kick in. Again, it all depends on how those temperatures look like several thousand feet above our heads. But anyway, I'm going to get these graphics put out on the page so you guys can have that to look at on both our Facebook and Twitter. Thank you to all the new subscribers on YouTube. Everyone hitting the bell over there. Thank you very much. All the new followers and all the people that like to share the broadcast on Facebook and all the Star Nations. Thank you very much. Again, we've gone over everything in this broadcast. So if you possibly have a question at this point, this video will be on our Facebook and YouTube for you to watch at any point. We're also going to post a summary of this video on our Facebook and Twitter for you to read at any point. That said, I'm George Herbig, Chief Forecaster here with WNK. Until next time, stay safe, Kentucky.